my way to storytelling. And since then, never looked back, because I feel, as I said in the beginning, it's so important to tell the right stories. And I think the Bitcoin space needs more people to do this, because there are so many, like, the transformational stories which still need to be told. And Bitcoin just showed me how important this can be, because if you compare the stories the modern media or mainstream media tells about Bitcoin, they also travel quite fast. If you have a good story saying it boils the oceans, you need the people actually telling the other side of the story. And I think this just refined my passion of actually doing something which I care about.
I hear a lot of Bitcoiners, especially with the price of Bitcoin up around $100,000 per coin right now, being very optimistic, which I think is great. You can be optimistic, but I worry sometimes about complacency and how, it's like, well, TikTok next block, Bitcoin doesn't care. Bitcoin's going to do what Bitcoin does. How important are those narratives, and what do you see? Do you see multiple trajectories in the future where a narrative like Bitcoin boils the ocean around the excessive energy use of mining, or Bitcoin is for criminals? Like, do you think that there is a future in which a narrative battle could be won on the side of lies and fallacies, or do you think that the truth wins out? And you mentioned people need to, it requires human action in order to tell these stories. So if people don't tell these stories, like, how do you think about the future?
So I think that I'm very optimistic of the future, but I don't think that it's going to come naturally, because I'm rather optimistic because I know that Bitcoin naturally puts people into the position to take action for their future. And that's why I feel that more and more people will take responsibility about this and to try to do it. Because I don't think the right way is just to wait until this future materializes or manifests. I think we have an active part in this, and every single person has to do it. And yes, I agree that the truth will ultimately win in the long term, but it can win in different ways, right? Like, Bitcoin won't stop functioning, but it can be that in certain jurisdictions it's a black market, and of course you can do this, but maybe constructing stories which actually tell this truth rightly will help jurisdictions to understand Bitcoin earlier. And then although Bitcoin, the truth is that you can use Bitcoin to have a self-sovereign life, but what if you can integrate it into your normal life without being a criminal? And so I think it's just like, we kind of need to take responsibility for the future that we want, and that I think it's up to us as a community to manifest it, or make this manifestation into the reality. So I do think that we need to, like, everybody has their part. I'm a filmmaker doing this. There are podcasters doing this. There are people in the Bitcoin Policy Institution, or however it's called, talking to Trump's team and so on. And I think all of this is kind of, you can say it's good or bad. You can say everything is good for Bitcoin and so on. But it's just like, why don't you out there listening to this take the responsibility to try to create the Bitcoin reality you actually want? If it's just you holding Bitcoin and having fiat banks, okay, that's fine. But you need to take the decision to actively do it. If it's you want to live on a full Bitcoin standard, that's also good reality, and it's possible, and you can make it sure for yourself. And I think then the overall Bitcoin reality in total is then just a conglomeration of all of those different realities that the people do for themselves. And the more positive every single one, or the better every single one of those different nodes can put his reality, the better the overall reality will look like as well.
Very well said. I think another topic I wanted to touch on was just how Bitcoin changes your life. And I'm curious because from consuming your content, I can tell that you've embraced these new ideas and ways of living. You made a film about eating meat for 30 days.
Yeah.
You also made a film about sleeping on the ground. Why is it that Bitcoin opens you up to make these positive life changes?
I think it's for me, the process was to actually overthink every single life decision I had before. Like, even, do I want kids? How is a relationship with a woman? How does it actually look like? How do I want to just store my money? What do I want to do as a profession? What's my job? And it's like, because you need to relearn what money is very early on in the Bitcoiners journey, I think you just naturally come into contact with so many different other aspects of life where it's also like, oh, maybe I need to rethink this as well. And I'm a very extreme variation of this, where I'm like trying to actually think about everything. Okay, what's the diet? What's the water? What's my sleeping habit? And it's for me just a way to actually see if those claims are correct for me, because I don't want just to follow anybody and be like, oh, this guy says carnivore diet is good. I now know that the carnivore diet is good, but I'm not 100% carnivore. I'm like 80 to 90% animal based, and that works best for me. And I was only able to figure this out in going one direction, then the other direction, then zeroing in what my body actually likes. And I think this is ultimately what Bitcoin helped me to develop a trust on my body and my own mind to be able to figure things out without fully needing to understand everything. It's just like going back to the primal times. Like, you didn't need to understand that meat or the sun is good for you. It was just naturally to do that. And I think modern civilization and a lot of the, like, I also did documentaries about the schooling system, unschooling, and so on. There's like so much programming happening into your mind, which you kind of just need to like detach again. And Bitcoin was, for me at least, a tool to do that by just questioning everything, because this big understanding of what money is was shattered from one day to the other one. And then I was like, oh, maybe I don't know anything about sleep as well. Maybe I should look into this. So it's just figuring out what I want my life to look like. And as I said, I also do a lot of shitty stuff, which is also part of it. Just failing a lot of times and then figuring out, oh, okay, this is not how I want to break up with a girl, or this is not how I want to have my diet going forward. So it's trial and error, and from that, and I think this is the beautiful thing about life, that there is no right or wrong. It's just you have to figure out your own way, and it's so much more fun by going every now and then to the extremes and figuring out if sleeping on the floor is actually good for you or not.
Are you still sleeping on the floor?
Not every night, but I do it. Yeah.
So I sleep on my stomach and my side. I have a really hard time sleeping on my back, and I wake up and my lower back is tight. So I have to, even here, I'm feeling it right now, but I'm stretching in the morning and things like that. I actually had a back injury. I got rear-ended by a drunk driver in college. And at that point, I literally had to sleep on my back, because if I slept on my stomach, I couldn't sleep. But there's something about, the things in life that feel comfortable in the moment lead to discomfort down the road, whereas the things that are uncomfortable in the moment can often lead to more what's the word, just the opposite of fragility, resilience. So I highly encourage, at this point, anybody who hasn't watched some of these videos, like, there's just you are a prolific creator, and there's so much good stuff to watch. Like, I genuinely enjoy your style of storytelling, the topics, like, all of it is fantastic. And you're also doing a podcast called Proof of Health. So describe